When you look out at the night sky, you see stars, planets, galaxies, pinpricks of light scattered across a vast black background. But what about that background itself? The darkness between the stars? We call it empty space, but is it really empty? This simple question, how can empty space exist, has haunted scientists and philosophers for centuries. And the deeper we look, the stranger the answers become. Because the truth may be that nothingness is never really nothing. What do we mean by nothing? At first glance, nothing seems obvious. It's the absence of things. No matter, no light, no particles. Just emptiness. But in science, the word nothing gets tricky fast. If you take all the air out of a jar, you've created a vacuum. That's nothing, right? But even there, invisible particles flicker in and out. Radiation seeps through. Gravity still pulls. Space itself still exists. So maybe nothing isn't the absence of everything, but just the absence of the things we normally notice. Philosophers go further. They ask, is nothing even possible? Or is the very idea of nothingness a human invention, a contrast we use to define something? Without things to compare it to, could nothing even exist at all? The vacuum that isn't empty. Physics has shown us that so-called empty space isn't empty at all. At the quantum level, the vacuum is alive with activity. Particles constantly pop into existence, then vanish again in trillionths of a second. These are called quantum fluctuations, and they mean that even the darkest void is buzzing with hidden energy. In fact, this vacuum energy is so powerful that it may explain why the universe itself expands. Astronomers call it dark energy, a mysterious force making galaxies rush apart faster and faster. So the nothingness between stars isn't dead. It's driving the largest scale changes in the cosmos. What looks like nothing is actually the most important something there is. Space is not just empty room. Another misconception is that space is like a container, a big empty box where the universe sits. But Einstein shattered that idea. According to relativity, space isn't a background, it's a fabric woven together with time itself. This fabric bends, stretches, and twists when matter and energy are present. That's what we feel as gravity. So when we talk about empty space, we're really talking about the fabric itself. And it's not nothing, it's a physical thing with measurable properties. You can stretch it, warp it, ripple it like a trampoline. That's how gravitational waves, ripples in spacetime, move through the universe. So again, even the deepest void is more like an ocean than a void. Can nothing exist without something? Let's go even deeper. Imagine stripping away all the stars, galaxies, atoms, and energy. Imagine peeling away even the fabric of spacetime itself. What would you have left? Some physicists argue the answer is still something. Perhaps pure mathematical laws. Perhaps quantum fields that never vanish. Maybe even a multiverse bubbling beneath ours. Others argue that nothingness, in its purest form, can't exist at all. Because if nothing exists, then it's already something. That's the paradox. It's like trying to picture the color, transparent. The moment you imagine it, you've already filled it with something. The birth of the universe out of nothing. The biggest mystery of all is the beginning. How did the universe itself come to be? One idea, supported by quantum physics, is that the universe arose out of nothing. A spontaneous fluctuation in the vacuum. 1 second there was nothing, and the next, everything. But again, the nothing here isn't really nothing. It's a sea of quantum possibilities, ready to burst into existence. Even the Big Bang may have been less an explosion out of nothing, and more a transformation of hidden energy into the matter we see today. So if the universe was born from nothing, maybe nothing is just another name for potential. Human consciousness and nothingness. There's also a psychological side to this. Humans fear nothingness. We fear the void, death, the loss of being. Yet when we sit in silence or close our eyes, we realize our brains can't actually experience nothing. Even in the deepest meditations, there's still awareness. A flicker of thought. The feeling of being present. Nothingness, in the purest sense, may be something we cannot ever directly touch. And maybe that's the point. Nothingness is an idea, a contrast, not a physical reality. Nothingness is energy. Here's the twist. The closer science gets to defining nothing, the more it looks like energy. Quantum theory tells us the vacuum itself is filled with virtual particles. Relativity tells us space-time itself is a fabric. Cosmology tells us dark energy lives in the void. So maybe nothingness is not absence, but foundation. Not the lack of reality, but the canvas reality is painted on. Your living room wall looks blank until you shine light across it and see the texture. The universe works the same way. What looks like a blank void is textured with invisible energy. Could we ever create true nothing? This question fascinates scientists. Could we ever make a perfect vacuum, with absolutely nothing inside? The answer seems to be no. No matter how much you strip away, quantum fluctuations always remain. Even the best vacuums in labs on Earth still hum with ghostly activity. It may be physically impossible to create nothing, and if that's true, it suggests that nothingness is not part of nature at all. Why nothingness matters? So why does this matter? Because nothingness is not just a curiosity, it may be the most important concept in the universe. Nothingness drives cosmic expansion through dark energy. Nothingness underlies quantum physics and particle creation. Nothingness might explain the birth of the universe itself. And nothingness shapes human imagination, fear, and philosophy. Far from being empty, the void is the richest mystery we know. So how can empty space exist? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe what we call empty is actually full of energy, potential, and hidden laws. The universe doesn't seem to allow true nothingness. Everywhere we look, the void is alive. And that may be the greatest paradox of all, that nothingness is impossible. Because in the end, the mystery of nothingness may be the deepest truth of existence, that even when there is nothing, there is always something.